Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Ian Wolf. And before we get started on this episode, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what's going on here. We're going to be rebroadcasting an old episode from our backlog because this week has been a doozy on the whole team here. Stoney last week had a stroke, and he is doing okay now. Everything is doing great. He's just as ornery as ever, but he's kicking and he's doing great. And I believe that next week will be our regularly scheduled program will happen. But what with that going on, and of course all of the Halloween holidays and stuff happening as well, life happened and it kind of got the best of us this week. So please enjoy this episode from our backlog, and we will be tuning back in same time next week. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Retrospect podcast. My name is Ian, and I'm joined with X-Man and Stoney. Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back. That was an adventure.
All right.
Nothing like a little quarantining to do a body well.
Yeah, to clean out the system.
Luckily, I did not get the COVID.
That's good. I'm glad to hear.
Yeah, we just had somebody close to me in my office get it, and we just want to make sure I didn't spread it off to anybody else.
Of course. I appreciate it.
Yeah, me too.
So what's this?
I don't know. As mean as y'all were to me in the last episode, maybe I need to give y'all a little bit of it.
You know what? We were very, very upfront with that and said we were going to blame everything on you, and so
you did.
We took our opportunity to throw you under the bus while we could.
Right.
Okay.
So you said something about a nice warm and fuzzy topic. So
warm and fuzzy may be incorrect, but I think it's going to be a little bit lighter.
Okay.
And I can't, especially with the age differences, I can't wait to see how we're going to go with this, because I have the subject.
Right.
And then the direction is up to us.
Of course.
And there are so many different directions that we'll be able to go with this.
Okay.
That I think it'll be fun.
I'm glad.
So are y'all ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I was reading an article the other day about J.J. Abrams. He's on a mission to expose the truth about UFOs. So the subject today is first, do you believe in them? And this part 2 to that subject is what do you think would happen? And this is politically, religiously, socially, everything, if a UFO actually landed on the White House lawn. See, I got that moment of quiet, so I know I got some brains turning now.
The White House lawn, huh?
Yeah. Oh, man.
So to start it off, I asked my 11-year-old son to write down 11 year. This is an 11-year-old with no coaching
this is Gen
from me.
Z.
Right.
This
Here
is
we
Gen
go.
Z.
This is fresh off the press.
He said, I think if a UFO landed on the White House lawn, the CIA would try to cover it up. An 11-year-old.
You know what? I believe it.
An 11-year-old.
Do that.
Come on.
Okay. Who knows? They might show up for a cigar, because he knows I love cigars.
Of course.
But while we think that, they want something like water info. In the Bible, it says some things just can't suit, but people would start to do bad things. That he's saying that politically everything would crumble.
Right, of course.
And not believing things the government would lie or try to. That's what I think.
Wow.
That's from an 11-year-old.
Okay. That's a very interesting question.
First of all, if you're listening, thank you for that. I love the perspective. That's actually really great. That's amazing.
For an 11-year-old to already know the
Right.
CIA covered stuff up. I mean, damn.
Man.
They'll probably recruit him as smart as he is.
The reason I'm smart.
Right. They're like, man, he's on to us.
Yeah,
let's bring him on board before,
Because they never even covered up UFOs before. Never.
No.
That's never happened.
No. So, first off, do y'all believe in UFOs? Or have an experience with a UFO?
The hard thing for me is that as of the past few months, there's all that stuff that came out recently about like the government, or it was some.
Wait, let me interject here. I can't wait to hear what he says, X-Man, because his generation is the ones who said, let's all attack Area 51. They can't kill us
that's
all.
right. They're big. That's
Technically,
right.
they could kill you all. We're going to storm Area 51.
Right.
Yeah.
They can't kill us all. So I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
Trust, I was not there on that day.
You know, any generation that tries to like recreate our Woodstock fails.
Right.
It just never works.
Never
it's
quite
never
works.
as cool.
Technically, that was not your Woodstock.
You're right, but it
was
kind
my
of,
Woodstock.
but it led to our like sexual revolution and all that other and all that stuff. But let me tell you, I'm gonna say emphatically, yes, there are UFOs. I mean, how can you say there aren't UFOs? There's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people who have reported them, who have seen them, who have encountered them. And when you have that many people saying the same thing, how can you say that it doesn't exist?
Yeah. Well, so again, I have always been cautiously optimistic with that sort of stuff. Just because I don't want to go way off in tinfoil hat territory and be like, oh yeah, aliens.
Like optimistic that they are or aren't?
That they are. You know, again.
So you want there to be aliens?
Yeah, cautiously.
Why?
It's not that I want. It's just that I believe that the universe is so big, that there is so diverse, that the fact that there is not, I mean, maybe not super intelligent life, but there's other life that is probably similar to ours is a very high likelihood, I think.
But if they can build a spacecraft, then they are pretty intelligent.
Right.
But let me ask you this, Mr.
Okay.
Mr. Wolf.
Okay. Okay.
So let me ask you this, Mr. Wolf. So why do you want there to be aliens?
Well, I don't know if I want there to be aliens.
No, you said.
No. Oh, I get.
You said for the good.
Well, I mean, I guess when
he
I mean,
wants
like,
to have sex with them.
No,
he totally wants to. He
No
wants
wonder
to
he
have
doesn't have children. He wants alien babies.
Every
No.
millennial is waiting to have sex with an alien.
No, oh my gosh, I'm being attacked so hard right now. No, it's like again.
Payback's a bitch.
No, thank you. What I meant, like, whenever I'm saying cautiously optimistic, is that like I'm not saying like I'm not sitting here like shitting on your like if you're like I saw a UFO, I'm not gonna be like I don't believe you. I'd be like.
Well, who grew up with Chariots of the Gods? Who read that? Am I the only one
not.
that read that? Oh, my Lord.
I think we had Chariots of Fire.
Oh gosh.
Dun 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 dun.
No, that's not where we're going with this.
Oh man,
that was a great book, but it talked about the early ancient aliens and things like that.
Right.
You know, and for me, you know, growing up, I read that book and I loved that book, and that inspired me until I realized I was colorblind. I wanted to be an astronaut. You know, well, you can't fly jets back then if you were colorblind. But then I also remember my favorite cartoon was Calvin and Hobbes, and Calvin was walking with his little pet tiger and stuff, and they were walking in kind of like this little junk field, and Calvin looked over at Hobbes and said, you know, the surest sign that there's intelligent life out there, and he's pointing to the trash, is that it doesn't show up here. So,
but like as I was saying initially, like way at the top, is that there is. I want to say it was the Air Force or something that recently had all those like little videos. They all like higher ups in the American government had said that those are unidentified flying objects. We don't know what they are. They show up. And again, people from the Air Force or the Navy, I think, they say we have sightings all the time of like weird objects that are flying in the air. We can't tell what it is. It is a thing that happens. So for in my perspective, when I sit here and think of these guys they're not, it's one thing to hear it from a guy, you know, who lives in the desert or something. It's like, I saw a UFO. And there's a difference between like that and like, I think a person who for a living, like checks the air for other craft. And is like, I don't know what that is.
The basic definition is unidentified flying object. That doesn't necessarily mean it's from outer space.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. It just means you can't identify it today.
Right.
Maybe tomorrow we can.
Exactly.
I think there are. And I think the government is like uber obsessed over whether or not, you know, how we're going to respond to that news. And so they go in and they do cover-ups and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, the stuff I've seen, especially recently, because I think our ability to capture that kind of stuff has also improved like 1,000%. There's so much footage. I mean, there is so many times when people are together in big groups where this stuff is happening.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't think that you can say, no, there's no other intelligent, you know, it's a big universe.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But I think that, you know, I think that our systems are so afraid of the shock wave that's going to go through them
Right.
once that's actually revealed.
Well, technology-wise, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
just think, we had, what is it, Orson Welles and, War of the Worlds.
Oh,
And
yeah,
they did
right.
that radio cast, and everybody freaked out, and then all of a sudden it was just a joke.
Right.
It was just a play.
Of course.
At the time, though, a lot of people, and it sounded like when you listened to it, that it was a real newscast.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, after that, the jumps in technology.
Yeah.
Think about this podcast right here.
Oh,
Look at
right.
the technology just in front of us to even accomplish this.
Right.
Right.
And then in that course of the next 60 years, how far did we go technology-wise?
Oh, yeah. Right.
I saw this show recently. It was very fascinating. I'm a big documentary fan, and so I like to watch those. There was this guy, and he was in a very important position, and he was advising the security department for the White House and for the nation's leaders. And what was interesting is that because he knew what he knew, and he was so steadfast that there are absolutely aliens and
Right.
and there are absolutely UFOs, and that is a thing, and there are cover-ups and all that. Because he was so vocal with it, they got really upset with him. So this guy goes out and he creates his own organization, and I forget what it's called now, but it was like I don't know, whatever it is. It was like 4 letters.
Right.
And now they have groups all over the country now. What he proposes about their travel and their technology is fascinating, because he said, we are so limited in our understanding.
Oh, yeah.
We only go at light speed, and that's so slow
Right.
when it comes to the technology that it would require to get those crafts here.
Right.
And he said, but if you look at even how they function and how they're captured, that they go so fast, and that they maneuver in ways that nothing we've ever seen, that he thinks that it's conscious powered. So we're always thinking of power in terms of something that's energetic, but he's saying, yes, energetic, but it's the energy of consciousness. And so he got these groups of people together, and they all went out into the desert and to all these different places all over the world. And he brought them together, and they sat there in like a circle, and they got on the same page and mentally together, and they started having UFO experiences. I mean, and they captured them on It was fascinating, because this guy was, this was a smart man. This was not some unintelligent.
We only use 10% of our brain.
Yeah.
Some of us,
he's talking about
the millennials, use less than that.
He's talking about the boomers.
Oh, man. And, okay, so one thing that I think that we have been slowly tiptoeing into like being okay with the idea of it. I think there's a lot of stuff in media and everywhere around us that we're becoming more okay with the idea of aliens and all that kind of stuff. Like, if they were to come down here, I think it's definitely it's going to have a different greeting now than I think they would have like 50 years ago.
So was that planned from the government and Hollywood to desensitize
to one
ourselves?
thing,
Now that could
I
be
have
true.
no idea. Maybe.
I wouldn't put past our government.
Right.
Well, I mean, you saw the panic from the War of the Worlds.
Oh, right.
And what happened. I mean, we've desensitized ourselves so much over the years. The first horror movie, you never even saw the blob.
Oh, right.
But yet, opening night, 3 people died of heart attacks.
Right.
Yeah.
And now how far have we come? So has this been, and you look at the humanization of the aliens.
Right.
Yeah.
Even the horrible ones still generally have 2 legs, 2
right.
arms, a big
I mean,
ugly
now we're
head.
not even scared of them to the
We're
point
not.
where like Ian wants to have sex with them.
No,
Yes.
no.
I mean-
I'm going to say this on record.
And
That
have
is
their
not
children.
factual.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
doesn't realize
That
that
is
the
not
men have
factual.
alien children.
He just
Oh
meant
my
he didn't want
gosh.
earthly children.
Oh.
He
my
wants
God.
his children to be on planet Nunu,
Please no.
So where does that leave us? So now let's say we've talked about the cover-ups. We've talked about one lands on the White House lawn.
One lands on the White House lawn, then what?
You tell us.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen?
First, I think people will be united in their fear.
That's
And
one
then
thing.
I think they'll slowly divide.
That's one thing. That's one thing where I get really hopeful for us as humans. I think that we are very much against each other, and I think that the only thing that it will take for us to all band together is an outside source.
No, but it would have to be an attack.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't think so.
If it's not an attack.
I don't think so. I think just that moment when that happens, when that UFO or unidentified flying object lands on the White House lawn, we realize how small we really are.
Right.
All of us. There's no color. There's no religion. There's no politics at that point. All of a sudden.
No. Sorry, history says, and I believe that history is your best source for how people are going to respond. Sure. 9/11. Oh, the world unites around 9/11. And then nobody agreed on how to deal with it. Right. And it was just nothing but a total shit show after that. Yes. And so, and divided. Yes. So I think that the brevity of that moment of unity is sweet, but it is so not going to last.
Oh, of course.
Well, you're going to have the government trying to shoot it down. You're going to have the Russians and the Chinese arguing with us why they don't have access to it.
Oh, no, they'll be saying they shot it down first.
Right. So, everybody's going to want a piece of that technology. So do they shoot it or do they talk to it?
I think another interesting thing that this brings up in that question, Stoney, is like, not only will they shoot it or talk to it, we make the assumption that the aliens are going to come here and care about what we care about.
Oh, right.
They may be just looking at us like food, or
they could,
or an experiment,
or they're just slave drivers.
Yeah,
they just suck us up and you're going to be our slaves now.
We may just be nothing but like amoeba under their microscope. I mean, there's no value to us. To them, we're just an experiment, and one that they may have quite well been studying for a very long time.
My favorite one is the water. You don't find water like we have here on Earth anywhere. So what if they just want our water and poof, they're gone?
Yeah.
Now what do we do?
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
To understand like what would an alien care about? Like not just because
apparently Ian's thought about it a couple of times.
Seriously, he's hoping they care about him a lot.
No. There's like a gosh.
I wish that people could see his glow when he gets embarrassed.
Wow,
he's got the high pro glow right now.
Right. I think that if just on a whim a ship was to materialize and try and land on the White House lawn, that I think that they would be ready for an attack. I don't think they would, but I think they would be. They would be itching for something to happen. I think is what it is.
The government or the
government?
Alien?
The government. I mean, well, probably both, to be honest. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's gonna. There's probably been enough movies that probably have some dignitary walking up to this alien, and then of course one wrong move later, and all of a sudden all the world's up in flames.
War,
so,
right.
I think Magnus has it right. I think he's got it absolutely right. I think they would try to cover that stuff up so fast.
Oh, right.
It would be a meteorite. It would be everything they could make it before they make it that.
Yes. Yes.
Sure. Absolutely.
They want a long preview of this before they start rolling out their position on it.
Right.
So if they attack, we unify. If they don't attack, we divide. Is that basically the consensus?
I think even if they do attack, I do believe we will probably all unify in the defense of ourselves until I think a certain point,
until election,
until
the election,
right. Until like I said, X-Man's talking about. There's going to be a point when I think, like there is in all history has told us many times, people will have dividing opinions and then create a whole belief system, a country, something behind it.
Now, I will tell you this. I do think it would be an accelerant in one way, just like COVID's been an accelerant.
Oh, right.
I think that it would be an accelerant for change. And I think that change could very quite possibly be a one world government. I think it would set us right on the fast track to that.
I agree with that. 100%.
So that people around the world could elect one voice
the Earth
to go
Federation.
in. Yes, right. So our Space Force and stuff, I think that would become a global thing. So I do think that we would unite in that way. Like we would want kind of a central, how is the globe going to respond now to this planetary, attack kind of thing.
I think that's what I meant. When I was getting at it was that I think that there's going to be a unification of we are Earth and we have to do something about this if we're being attacked. I think that's what I think would come of it is some kind of Earth government.
Yeah.
but will it be perfect, or will there be infighting? Of course.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's when the millennials will
Oh my
take all of their pot farms and convert them to alien
man.
whorehouses. You know, they'll
Right.
be-
Right. Oh my god.
we're going to have to establish some kind of intergalactic currency.
Oh my God,
So
please.
that so that they can finally make a real honest living.
We can rent Wolf out.
Right. Okay. Thank you guys. I appreciate you so much. Oh man. Again, another thing I think may
Yeah,
happen.
they really are geniuses at doing what brings them joy.
I feel personally attacked.
Are you offended yet?
No, but I just I
Damn,
feel
we're not
attacked
working
now.
hard enough.
Hey, Stoney, look at this as a shock.
Oh no.
You know what's really funny? The great thing about having this little studio here is we get to watch each other and the mannerisms and
Oh
stuff.
yes.
But if you look at him talking about having sex with aliens,
His eye-
look
Oh
how,
my-
look
I
how
know.
kicked back he is.
I've
He's got
never
his
seen a
legs
glint in his
crossed.
eye like that.
He's happy. He's just smiling so big.
Why
He's
are
got
you?
his little
Are you
coffee.
hiding something?
I'm not hiding anything.
Doesn't he look comfortable?
Oh,
he's
yeah.
He's just kicked
He's
back.
got
I'm
it.
sitting in this
He's
position
like,
the entire episode.
his
Finally,
eyes-
a conversation that I
I
can
know.
get into.
His eyes are live. Alien sex. I
Oh my
love
gosh.
this.
If I would have known this podcast would divulge into
Does your girlfriend know you have these fantasies?
Yeah, that's what I want. Maybe his girlfriend is an alien.
Oh
I mean,
my God,
it could
dude.
happen.
wow.
Maybe In's an alien.
There's a concept. Man.
Wolfman, we're just picking on you.
I
We
know,
love
I
you,
know.
but you really do kind of have extra glitter in your eye today.
I mean, I guess so. I don't know. I think it's a fun topic to talk about.
Mm-hmm. So
He's all offended.
I'm not offended.
He'll
I'm
snap
not
out
offended.
of it in a minute.
I'm
He'll snap out
definitely
of
not
it in a
offended.
minute.
I just don't know what to say to this. I'm being attacked about my
cohorts.
my non-existent xenophobic sexual preferences or something.
So what happens to social stance? What
That was
happens to
the
government?
next thing.
What happens to
The
religion?
next thing I was going to say is I feel like there is going to be some division in religion
Mm-hmm.
in maybe not the 100% disbelief of it. I don't think I would lose the faith that I do have, but I do think it would. I think it would fundamentally shake people's belief systems, like some people.
I
you know.
think it could, but I also think that I really believe that might bring out the best in religion in a way,
Mm-hmm.
because I think the theologians and the scholars would really have to comb through the texts of our religious scriptures to,
right.
to be able to kind of go, okay, now how does that new information and that new reality,
Right.
how is that informed, by this text now? Like, how do we, because that could be, I mean, you want to talk about a whole nother, that opens up a whole new can of worms in
of
terms
course.
of like isms.
Right.
Yes.
I think you're right, Stoney. I think racism wouldn't be what's important, because I think the new ism would be alienism.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then there's going to be a whole bunch of like, especially if there are different types of aliens,
Yeah.
then it would be like, okay, now which aliens are, the
Yeah.
most, the most.
I think the word human would take on a new meaning
Yeah.
at that
Oh,
point.
right.
Yes.
Because color is gone.
Yeah.
It's completely irrelevant at this
Yeah.
time, because
Yeah.
we hate what's different from us.
Right.
And that's really the basis of, hatred in religion, hatred of
Yeah.
different colors and things like that. And then all of a sudden we're human.
Yep.
That's fascinating.
You are the race of human.
I think
against
Stoney's
all the-
point's
yeah.
interesting, because it's like, bigger enemy,
Oh, of course. yeah. Bigger fish, yeah.
Yeah, bigger other problems.
Right,
Bigger,
exactly.
like,
Yeah, and I think it plays into all that. It's like, if there is an attack, if there is this government that comes up that is like unifies all of us together, I mean, it's probably going to take a long amount of time, because I
Sure.
still think that people still have really deep rooted
Mm-hmm.
beliefs in some of that. But I do think that like younger generations will be more open to like, we are just humans and they're aliens and we have to protect ourselves, kind of thing. Maybe, who knows? But
I do think that I think your generation will take the biggest hit, honestly, because y'all are so much about rights and everything.
right.
And this isn't going to be like that. I mean,
Yeah.
when's the last conversation about your rights that you've really had over the last 2 years with COVID?
Right.
It hasn't been about anything but COVID and how to stem COVID. So I think you're right, Stoney, like the priority shifts, right? And but I think it's fascinating to think about that because it would also upend the economy, the global economy.
Yes.
What, and then like
absolutely.
again, what happens if, let's just say, like I said it a little while ago, is like if they touch down and just start nabbing at people as just this like we're their
Like
slaves.
we're produce.
Yeah, no, yeah, or like I said, we're just some kind of like livestock to them.
Like
We're just,
harvesting.
Snack.
We're just not even to eat us. Just we are their slaves now.
Mhm.
It's like they need manual labor, and we are that for them.
Right.
And it's like then at that point, it's like it doesn't worry about everyone else's rights. It matters about human rights at that point. It's like I you know, it's like I'm now a slave now. It's like, you know, that's it. All of a sudden, it like for me, if something was to go that far, where it's like we're just a pet or we're some kind of, you know, farmhand of some kind of, you know, I can't even fathom what we would probably do in some space colony or something. But
Well,
it's like
then you have to think about this also on this planet that we call Earth.
right,
We have an agreed construct of time.
right,
The time of 24 hours,
yeah,
60 minutes and an hour, 7 days a week.
oh yeah,
30ish. What if the aliens
Yeah.
are people because they travel at super past the speed of light,
right,
don't see time the way we do?
Right.
yeah.
What if their work week is 422
Yeah, exactly.
years?
Yeah, exactly.
Yikes.
You know,
Right.
what changes or possibly can change in our simple construct that
Oh, of
we
course.
have on this planet?
Well, and then the other thing is like what kind of fights are going to start
Oh, I have a good
over
one.
who gets to cater to to them, who's going to interface with them on our behalf, and then if they are after something resource wise for that we can provide,
Yeah.
then we've opened a whole new intergalactic marketplace.
At least you and I know we can provide Ian.
That's true.
The only thing I was going to say was, again, you were saying like we have these agreed upon things. It's like I didn't think about it. But it's like we have, it kind of ties into religion too, but it's like we have this agreed upon set of what is morality, and it's like
Right.
it's like what if that is not a thing that they
Value.
or even think is their good morality is an inverse of what we think is. So it's like again, like just thinking of like simple things like that, where it's like, oh, it's just like you don't steal things, you're just a whatever, and it's like,
What if they don't have any
what,
of
yeah,
that?
yeah, none of that makes sense to them. So it's just
None.
like, you know, we're just being courteous, and that are just like, what are these primitive things you're talking about?
Yeah.
Just kill them, and like, no, I can't do that.
And the other thing, like, what if primitive to them is
Us.
space travel? You know, like, I mean, like we think that,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
right,
primitive is a stone will, and just because that's what we had. You
Exactly.
know? Like, what
Our
if,
form of primitive.
yeah, what if space travel was the lowest thing that they can remember? You know, like,
Yeah,
like they're
exactly.
so far evolved and they've been around so long.
Right,
Like, you know, like they don't even remember back, you know, to when that was. But I
Yeah.
think it's fascinating because they're also going to be bringing their own belief system and stuff, and that's going to be an influencer.
Oh yeah.
So all of a sudden, you're going to have, you know, a whole bunch of questions about, now that I'm having to reorient everything that I understand based
Right.
on this really major event.
Yeah.
Like, now what do I believe?
Mm-hmm.
What do I believe? I mean, I really
Right.
think it's going to cause a great rift
Well, and
within
that's-
people.
And that's what I was saying about, I think, certain people's religious outlooks, and I think also just
Now the social
So-
construct is done too.
I-
That's gone. You
I-
can
I-
just
I think
once
that-
you start those rifts in there, socially
yeah.
the world goes to pot.
oh, of course,
It's
people
done.
start questioning everything.
Yes, everything.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because at that point, again, if it's been covered up for all these many years, and all of a sudden it just shows up,
Right.
it's like, well, I know
How many of us are alien? You know,
I
like,
know,
I mean, that
I
would
know
be
we've
like,
I know we've been talking about UFOs and everything since probably 50s and 60s or whatever. So it's like, how much of that?
But
Has it-
haven't we really
has it
been
really
talking
been-
about them longer than that?
Maybe. I mean,
I,
you're right.
I mean,
but,
look at the Egyptians.
Yeah.
You know, they believed there was something that was there.
yeah.
right,
You know, and they came as gods.
right.
You know, they kind of look at the pyramids almost as a landing pad for something. You know,
Yeah.
how do you line it up? Well, if you look at it, it lines up to where something could land perfectly on it.
yeah,
What? How long have we really been having the discussion
Right.
on? Is there something out there?
Yeah.
That's
you know, we've
crazy.
had so many evolutionary jumps
yeah,
through the human species. You know, there's been, 4 or 5 really good jumps. You know, we just experienced one. It almost seems like we're kind of slowing down from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. You know, then you have all the 90s and the technology, and all of a sudden we kind of seem to be slowing down again. When's that next jump going to happen?
Right? Yeah. It's a fascinating question. It really is. And I think that it's kind of funny because you said a light topic. I don't know. I mean, there are aspects to it.
You know.
I mean, the lightness, I guess, would be Ian's Tinder, his swipe right alien account.
I'm just gonna go ahead. I feel like I'm going to be 100% honest right now. I think you guys are really pushing this whole alien sexuality. I think you guys are hiding something about yourselves. You guys are wanting to come here you're like,
no, I just remember how badly y'all beat me up last week.
Of course. I know. I get it.
But I was not here to defend myself.
But, yeah, I think it can be a light topic, but I think it is one of those that can very easily go into a very
Well, that's why
place.
I said I had no expectations.
Right.
On where we could go with this, and I was completely open for it. I just read that really interesting article. There's so many people today that just want to expose the truth.
Yeah.
Right.
The truth. Yeah. What is the truth?
Exactly.
Here's the thing I think people...
Can you handle the truth?
Right. Here's the thing that I think that will be a real driver for fear, though. Because in every other way, we can kind of defend ourselves, right? I mean, especially in America, like we really value the fact that we are, that we are bearers of arms and we can do that and that's our right and all that.
Right.
But you start getting alien attack scenario going, you no longer really have that capacity. I mean, you're going to lean on your government because their weapons are bigger than your weapons, and that they have toxins and other things that we haven't thought of or is studied that they can release and do.
Especially if they've been studying us for so long, they just know exactly how to take care of us.
Yeah. And so I would say that that's going to make us very dependent upon our world leaders, which is why I think the acceleration of a one world government would definitely come to fruition in that scenario. I really do. I think people are looking for the comfort of knowing that they can be defended. Well,
but that's one of the things that I think bothers me.
Yeah,
is we have not elected our officials to be our leaders. We have not elected them to rule over us. We have elected them to serve us.
Yeah.
And we've lost that. We have people that think they're empowered to dictate to us what we're supposed to do. Right now, we're, thanks to some of the generations, are losing our rights to bear arms. We're losing our rights to choose whether we want to be vaccinated or not. So what now changes as far as our rights go when this one world government does pop up?
Oh, yeah.
Those are some big questions, man.
Yeah.
Big questions. I'm more interested to find out, what's their stuff made of?
Oh, yeah.
I want to know if you can build a spacecraft that can be powered by consciousness.
Yeah.
What in the heck did you make that out of?
Right.
That would, because if you think about their reality, their material sources, everything's different for them.
I wouldn't even be surprised if, it's similar resources to what we have, because it's even crazy. For me, it's crazy. Even in my lifetime, from whenever I was a kid, I used to have I'm just thinking of hard drives, for instance. I used to have a thumbstick that was about yay big. It's about, I guess for the listeners, it's probably 5 or 6 inches or whatever. It was a thumb drive, and it was maybe 4 gigabytes. And now in my lifetime, I'm able to I have one for the podcast right here that is 32 gigabytes, and it is this big.
Yeah.
And it's to think that it's and this is even big compared to some of the smaller ones. It's crazy to think that this is the same materials we have. We're just learning new ways to reshape it and put it into different ways and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And even computers, even throughout our generations here, they went from entire rooms with tape reels and everything to where I have this laptop right here that is thinner than a manila folder. It's
your cell phone actually has almost 10,000 the computing power that they put the man on the moon with.
And that's crazy to think about. Then again, it's there at no point. There may have been some new materials that we found to make it happen and make it possible. But it's I wouldn't be surprised if they're oh yeah, we just make it out of rocks, but we just do something special with it, and all of a sudden today you can fly it with your consciousness or something. You're oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're right. In the idea, what I think is likely is new new minerals that we've never been introduced to
Oh,
exist.
yeah.
New,
Or
you know,
plants.
right.
Yeah.
So that would be kind of weird to see like what would transpire from something like that. But I really think, Stoney, I think if the alien spacecraft lands on the White House lawn, I agree. I think they're going to try to cover it up, and I don't feel like if they're not going to be able to cover that up well, then I think that they'll I think that they would be very careful about what they release. They would release it over time. They would keep it secretive. The information would come out in a trickle.
Yeah.
But how do you trickle
also,
with all of the media and everybody?
Well, they'll say
there's
who's responsible for it.
There's a camera
Somebody-
on the White
and
House lawn 24/7.
They'll negotiate a fall guy.
Right.
Somebody in the world will have to take blame for it.
Right.
So I mean, it'll be somebody's.
Because I'm also thinking too is like
Weather
you have enough people, especially again. Let's just say right now. I know it's probably go back to school time, but like Washington D.C. is like, a very big a tourist attraction. So there's like people. So depending on how big this UFO, if we're talking like a little bitty, flying saucer about the size of a SUV or something, that's one thing. But if we're talking like a big one that like comes down, you got to believe like everyone and their grandma is going to film it on their iPhone.
Well, 50 years ago there was no cameras.
Well, exactly.
Now
It's going to
everybody
depend
has a
on what
camera.
it looks like.
Well,
though.
exactly.
You know,
You're
it's-
right. You're right.
If it looks sleek and stealthy and has rivets and that kind of stuff, that's one
Right.
thing. But if it looks like a rock,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It depends.
Yeah.
I mean, what does the thing look like? But I'll tell you,
Because that's gonna if that happens, I think it's gonna just be spread to high
Well,
heavens.
I think it's interesting that X-Man kind of went in the conscious direction,
Right.
Because, I wish I would have brought it, but I read a report, and I'm glad he kind of mentioned that. But there's a scientific study that came out that they're proving that inanimate objects have a conscious.
Wow.
So what if the rock actually
Yeah.
does and can be used in
So
that?
my pet rock can actually fly.
Yes, wouldn't that
yeah,
be
dude.
awesome?
That's awesome. But yeah, I think that's one of those things where that's going to be the number one thing across every. I mean, if they don't obviously obliterate us the first time they touch down, you better believe that it's going to be the number one thing on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. It's going to be at least I think, and I think they're going to probably have they're going to try and find a way to cover it up but
I think the game changer there is, does it attack or not?
right.
Yeah, if it doesn't attack, if
Yeah.
it just lands, I think that's one thing. Now, if it lands and then blows up,
Yes,
the stadium,
the tri-state area.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then
that will make a different headline.
Right.
is that the only game changer? If it gets out and somewhat looks like us, that's one thing.
Right.
Because we've been spoon-fed aliens
Yes.
that look like us.
Yeah.
What if it looks completely
Don't.
different?
And what if the hatch lowers and the green light comes out, and then out of the smoky shadows comes this 3-headed, busty, beautiful
God.
green alien it's got kind of the glint in her eye like
Right,
you do.
right.
Like, what are you gonna do?
And she goes,
Absolutely
"Where's Ian
nothing.
Wolf?
Absolutely nothing.
Where's Ian Wolf?"
Has anybody heard of Ian Wolf?
Ryan, I believe that you guys are trying to push your what do you call
Agenda?
it? Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of your imaginations onto me. Hear me out though. What if the hatch lowers and it's someone that looks exactly like us?
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
That
it's just
would be
it's like regular dude, but he's in like this. I mean,
Why it's got to be a dude? It can't be a girl.
dude. I think is for me is
very
like gender
sexist.
neutral.
He's very sexist.
Yeah.
Did
No,
you
I'm
notice
not.
that?
Yeah, absolutely sexist.
I was a
See, he's on his way to offend people right now.
already.
Are we listening?
I'm offended.
I was using it as a gender neutral term. Thank you very much. I was using it as both. It could be a male or female. A person
So he's kind of
walks
using
out.
the mankind thing. That would be humankind now.
I'm sorry.
If your generation's gonna be
Right.
picky, let's get it. Or semantics, right?
But what if it was just like they have like
Why does the CDC only say male and females? How many male and females have caught COVID? And what about the other 72 genders?
that's
just
a
asking.
little heavy of a topic. I don't know. I can't answer that. But yeah, like what would happen if like I don't know. I'm just trying to think of how that scenario would play out. The hatch lowers and it's just like
Just like us.
You know, Bill and Susie just walk out. Like, maybe their eye color is different, purple or something. But that's the only
maybe
thing
a little
that's
bit
different.
bigger of an eye. Or
Right?
something.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, but depending on how warmly they're received, I might want to identify as one. I might be like, I'm sorry, I'm switching my identity.
You could be an honorary alien human.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I all of a sudden woke up today and now I identify as an alien.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next question.
Right.
Let's say they pulled up and they said, "You can come with us.
Oh,
Never
man.
can come back, but you can go with us, and you'll experience time in a completely different way."
Wow.
Do you go?
Oh my gosh! Do you get to take your family with you?
No, just you.
Then absolutely.
I can't wait till your wife hears this
I'm
podcast.
totally kidding, honey. I'm totally kidding, baby.
Man. Right,
only if you go. Only if you go.
Make good.
The kids.
Well, that's a different story. No, I'm just kidding.
man.
I'm just kidding. No, I mean, if my family could go, I think we'd be down for the adventure. I mean, honestly, my family, we're not one of those families that has a bunch of ties. So, I mean, we're pretty, we can move around. And so I honestly believe that if there was an opportunity to go do something that outrageously different, we would be the ones to kind of go, let's do it.
I still feel like even in that moment, even if they're warmly received and they're so polite and they're just good and they just want to take us to the stars and all that kind of stuff, I think I'll still be cautiously optimistic. I will be.
You'd be afraid you'd be a $1,000,000 snack.
He'd need to sleep with a couple of them first.
No, oh my God, no. But it's the fact that again. Especially like to put it into perspective, if we're able to come back, they're like, I'll take you on an adventure. You can go for like a week vacation.
That was not the question.
I know, but hear me out. Do that and then come back. I still feel like I would be like, I just don't know, because again, it's just like it's my.
Wouldn't
it's
you want
like,
a little alien vacation?
It's my same outlook to many things. It's like I don't like to try like the first piece of technology that comes out. I don't want to try the first, let's let this go out a little bit. Let's let it play out. Give me the first 2 or 3 bug fixes, and then I'll buy it.
Basically, he just wants to see somebody else come back.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
I would like. I don't want. That's what I was saying. That's why I was saying. Even in my defense, if they're saying you can still come back, which is what I would want, I feel like, or maybe I'm wrong. I feel like I would be like, let me let a few people go and come back, and then they're like, I didn't get utterly obliterated, or I didn't get
I don't know,
slave traded.
I think if I'm like you, if I could take my hottie doctor with me,
Yeah.
we're
Right,
gone.
right.
Yeah.
We're out of here.
Right.
Yeah.
Peace.
I mean, why not?
Peace and love.
The other thing is what's the difference? I mean, just think about what the alternative to that is. Oh, good. I get to stay here and watch us handle how we're going to deal with this.
Right.
Because we're so great at that.
Right.
We're so great at
We've
handling
handled
stuff
so
like
much
this.
well in the past.
Right.
I mean,
I'm not saying that I wouldn't forever. That's just one of those things for me. Is I would just want to make sure I'm not first in line to become some sex slave. You know what I'm saying?
See, there we go.
I knew
Truth comes out.
Yeah.
I just didn't. I just don't want to be some. I don't know. Some snack.
Lunch.
Yeah. But I did that on purpose. Thank you.
He's eye candy for the
Yeah,
aliens
exactly.
now.
Yeah.
Ian's the eye
I'm
candy.
unwanted.
Alien eye candy.
Right.
I'm getting him
The
that
alien
t-shirt.
looks at him. Ian,
I'm gonna get him
will
one
you,
of
will you
those.
put your man bun
Nope.
on for me, please?
I'm gonna get him one of those studded collars he can start wearing.
No. Oh gosh.
Ian, we need to see your man bun.
Nope. Yeah. I just feel like it's one of those situations where if they're anything like us, I just don't want to trust them right off the bat. But I'm not saying I
Wow,
wouldn't trust them.
That's kind of interesting.
He won't trust them. He'll just sleep with them.
No.
Damn. You're rough. I'm glad it's
You
in your
guys are rough.
direction today, not mine.
Excuse me. I'm the rough one? Wow. Yeah.
I think it's a very interesting idea. But if I thought about like what that moment would feel like, it would be like electricity. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine every fiber of my being just being electrified at the thought of going into the unknown and experiencing something that we've never, no other human has ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think that would be exciting.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that would be crazy. And I think people would be crazy to miss an opportunity like that. I mean, you want to talk about a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be the first human to experience something
especially
like that.
if they kill you immediately afterwards, yeah.
Exactly. Well, you know, I mean, there's
you experience this new
I'm
level.
going to die anyway,
right.
Ian. right? I'm going to die anyway. I'm going to die happy, maybe.
Oh, man, yeah. You're going to see the universe for what it truly is, and in your heightened state of being, they're just going to be like, ha, gotcha.
I think it's a really good question, though. I think it's a lot of fun thinking about that. And it was good. It was good.
Oh, yeah.
But now let me ask you this, because we are kind of a generational show. Like, how do you think that your mindset about that is tied to your upbringing?
You got to remember, I saw him land on the moon.
Yeah.
You know, in '69, you know, I was. And
my generation doesn't believe that
5
happens.
years old. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
He thinks that's all a cover up.
No, I did not say I
Your
thought that. I said my generation does think it's a cover up.
Wolf,
yes.
he kicks his generation to the curb.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
These millennials, I tell you, they're not even loyal to each other.
No.
It's unbelievable. It's unlike anything I've seen.
Disposable.
Both X-Men and I talked to another baby boomer early this morning, and he had the same outlook that you did on the last episode, and I thought it was very funny. It's like, I'm sorry, we left the world so great, and you guys screwed it all up.
It's the truth is the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, period. Any way you look at it, the truth is the truth.
We won't have to go back on that, but
Right.
I thought it was funny, though.
Mm-hmm.
I got news for you. If you left them the world, the aliens the world that you had to leave versus the one that we're leaving, it ain't much different. It's just a little dirtier.
It is a little bit different. I mean, you know, we respected things different back then.
That's because you
we
didn't know
looked
how
at
to
things
do anything
different.
else.
We looked at things differently back then. You respected the pastor. You respected the doctor. You respected the policeman. Now we respect basketball players.
Yep.
Now you can take your bikini top
really
and bottom
go back
off
there again?
or for a piece of cake on a show, and now you're a reality star.
Yikes.
And people, there you go. X-Men's topic was that great. It has now
Yes.
made 2 episodes.
Exactly.
Bam, shebang. No, honestly, I think that if my generation left the aliens their world, like in a stereotypical Gen X way, I really think that aliens would have been like, what the heck is this? I really don't think they would understand what they're looking at, because it was crazy. I mean, we were all over the map doing so many different things, and everything was moving at light speed in terms of innovation. But to them, that might not even be.
That's nothing to them.
Yeah, it might. They might be like,
I heard.
Stupid
I didn't think about this until just now. I heard someone say on a podcast I was listening to. He had said, "What if there is some higher being of some kind or whatever, like the aliens we're talking about, and they all have an agreement that they're not allowed to mess with us." So he was saying that, like, what if all these UFO encounters are just like people stopping by as like an
attraction?
What if we're a zoo?
We're basically an attraction.
Exactly. Is that, again, what if we are one of like the few
goldfish bowls?
Kind of. Or again, like it's like you go into the zoo.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it is universally understood that we're not supposed to mess with them, but you can go by and see them as long as you don't stay too long. It's kind of what they were, and his like hypotheticals, like wouldn't it be funny kind of situations where it's like they pop in, they can look around, and they're like, oh, that's really cool, and then pop out whenever like,
or what if it was like a big experiment, and in this area here we're going to drop these, and they're just checking on the status. You know, what if the temperature is this one, and this planet is like this, and this one's a 10-degree temperature. Is the change in that is the evolution going to be the same, or how far does it change? Right.
Or what if it's like the rebels, like the how would you say, like the juvenile delinquents of the alien race, whatever. They're like, you're not allowed to go to Earth, and they're just like, let's go hop in the freaking space wagon and go to the Earth or whatever. And they pop in and check out, and they're like, oh no, we're about to get caught, get out, kind of thing. Where it's like, but I'm like, again, it's just different perspectives on what could be the same thing. Of,
I'm going to agree with that.
Have you been to Earth again? You've got this dang fish on your on your tires.
Oh, man. You smell like Earth air. Get out of here.
Yeah. That's wild.
I was going to agree with you, but I forgot what it was.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sorry. It would have been the one time I completely agreed with you.
Oh man, let's go back. We got to figure this out.
We're sorry. We're so sorry.
Oh man, yeah. That's again just a different idea. Of what it could be.
Rebels. That's an interesting thought.
Right.
Rebels coming to Earth to visit us just
Right.
because we're kind of the no zone.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's like again. I guess what he had said was, what if there's like because I think it's like in Star Trek they have the same thing. It's like you're not allowed to tamper with a like developing world or something.
Mm-hmm.
Was like I never actually watched. I'm a Star Wars guy, so I never really watched Star Trek. But I think it's if there is a developing world, you're not allowed to like tamper with it because it could again skew.
It's called the Prime Directive.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't involve yourself with a pre-warp world.
Right. Well, and so what if it's something like that where it's
Mhm.
like they stop by just to check on us or whatever, but they can't. I mean, I could be wrong, or it's one of
They
those.
don't want to influence anything.
Yes,
Yeah.
because then again,
That
you
it
know,
changes all time or
of
something.
course, yeah. Then
Then it changes religion,
Well,
government.
yeah,
It
exactly.
changes everything.
Right.
Like
And
what
so-
we're talking about happening here right
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
So
once we have the ability to warp drive or something, all of a sudden they're like, "Oh yeah, we've been watching this whole time. It's pretty
Right.
cool. How's it going?" You're just like, "Wait, what?"
You know, I thought you guys were crazy before. You've
now
introduced me
I-
to whole new levels of your craziness. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for that. Thank you for the brilliant topic.
Oh yeah,
It was
a lot of
amazing.
fun.
I think what we ought to do is take some of these topics and do them like again a year from now.
Oh
or
yeah,
something, and just see, as we grow and
At
as this podcast takes off,
yeah.
and,
our,
just
our first anniversary, we'll do a
Yeah.
best of.
the best, just
Yeah,
kind of
best
talk
of
about
show.
it again,
That
Yeah.
would be great.
That's awesome.
That would be awesome.
Well, if you guys are looking for us, we have our podcast on all the major platforms, and I'm working on some of the other ones as well. So we're on Apple Podcast, Google, Spotify, and all those. I think I'm working on like Pandora and iHeartRadio and all that kind of stuff like that. If you're looking to find other links of ours, you can look us up. I have a link tree. It's linktree/Ian Wolf, and it has all of
there
our links
goes his name again.
again, it's just the link tree that has our podcast on it that they can obviously access.
Tell your friends so they can be offended.
Right, exactly.
yeah, right.
Please.
Exactly. We're looking to offend new people. And
Right.
so
Let's all get offended together.
Mm-hmm.
But until next week, bye-bye.
see ya.
Peace.